Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dudeist Journey. I'm your host, the Reverend Phillip K. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. And as always, I'd like to start off by saying that Dudeism is not a religion, it is a philosophy. That philosophy is the art of peace. Just as there is an art of war, there is an art of peace. And that's what we try to practice here with Dudeism. It's what many would say is modern-day Taoism or Daoism, depending on how you like to pronounce it. And so we're just trying to go for the flow and take it easy here, folks. So have a drink, have a smoke with me. Today I'm drinking a little rum because I've had a hell of a time. So if you heard my last episode, I have a book I wrote about Nicholas of Myra, St. Nicholas, the man we know as Santa Claus, or inspired Santa Claus. So, I've been trying to deal with marketing and shit, and I'm not getting the results I thought I'd get, so I'm trying to figure out my tactics and all, and talking to friends and all that fun shit and everything. It's just been nuts. I am talking to you on a new microphone. I finally went, and I finally broke down, and I got one of those, fancy Shure SM7B microphones. I've seen every podcast on the planet, and I'm like, why the fuck are people using these mics? And then I heard that it's like, it just helps with the sound. It cuts out the background noise. It cuts out the plosives, the puh, because I was having problems with that on my old microphone. So I went ahead and bought one. It's very heavy. My buddy of mine was like, dude, I was going to get you that for Christmas. And I was like, well, can you get me the arm that works with it? Because the mic stand I have is meant for lighter mics. This one is very fucking heavy. So it's just like dropping straight to the fucking ground. Trying to keep up on it. Yeah. So I've been doing like marketing and sales. And then I got, my fucking ass, had a fucking heart attack. So, once again, to catch folks up to speed, I started this podcast because I lost my little brother in 2020 to an overdose, and I lost my wife last year to cancer. Her 1-year anniversary of her death is coming up on December 8th, and needless to say, I'm feeling like shit. Trying to be optimistic. It's the holiday season, Christmas time, and plus my youngest child's birthday is this weekend, and so I'm trying to keep things up. I'm trying to stay afloat. I'm still having the grief attacks and dealing with the pain. Fuck, I hate the pain. But I've been doing what I can to kind of get things going along and staying afloat here. So when my wife passed, I signed paperwork with the mortgage company to make me what's known as the successor in interest. Now, if you don't know anything about mortgages, which is basically a fancy term for home loan, a mortgage is the home loan. And so my wife was the main person on it. But when someone dies or you get divorced or whatever, when someone is getting off of the mortgage, they have to do what's called an assumption. An assumption is basically re-qualifying for the loan. And you will have to pay fees and processing costs, including closing costs. And closing costs is a percentage of the loan. So I could have been hit with like a $20,000 bill. So I get this. And once again, this is coming 7 months later when I had sent in the paperwork. But from what I understood, everything was fine because I was the successor in interest. So I have all the rights to the loan and the property. I'm making all the payments. I have access to the account. Everything should be set up. Like, we should be good. So when I got this, I kind of flipped the fuck out. But apparently it was like a form that they had me fill out that wasn't exactly necessary. So I tried to get a hold of the gal in the assumptions department and tried to figure out what the fuck was going on and what I could do. And she took a look. So I'm freaking the fuck out. Because I'm like, if I have to re-qualify, what if they don't accept it? What if they kick us? What if they kick me and my kids out and we're homeless on fucking Christmas? You know what I mean? So I'm freaking, I'm smoking and I'm eating junk food. I'm just, I'm just like, holy shit. But she finally got back to me today. She wrote back and she said, listen, I took a look at your case. You're the successor in interest. You already have rights to everything. There's no point in an assumption. Okay. If you want to sell the house, then yeah, you're probably going to have to do one. But since you're not selling the house and you're going to live in the residence till the day you die, don't worry about it. The only thing is that all these payments that you're making on the mortgage, they are not going to go towards your credit. They're going to go towards your late wife's credit. I don't give a shit. It's like, I don't give a fuck who gets credit. I just want to have rights to the property and keep a fucking roof over my head. Okay? That's all. All right? Okay. Let's be friends. So yeah. Needless to say, I need this rum. And I'm drinking some rum here. Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, but now I got to refocus. And sell this book and try to figure out what advertising's going to work. And got to make TikTok videos and content and sell myself and all that fucking shit. So I'm working on that right now. Okay. And I'll talk about that later. But right now, what I want to talk about is a subject about getting fooled, okay? So the subject is about the Art Institute, okay? Now, if you don't know what the Art Institute is, the Art Institute was a chain of colleges that kind of presented themselves as like a technical college, for artists. So you could get degrees in like, 3D modeling and animation, filmmaking, art, painting and stuff, fashion design, and all of that stuff. So, but the problem is that the school turned out to be a total fraud. And just recently, back in September, they closed the very last campus. Now, what does that have to do with me? Well, I attended one of these motherfuckers. Yeah. You see, my parents didn't go to college, but they encouraged me to go to college. So I went to a community college, and I got a double major in graphic design and theater. Okay, I loved acting. I had done theater since I was a teen, all the way in adulthood, and here I was 25, and I was making films and wanting to get into film. And so I made some short films, got into a film festival, and I was like, okay, I really want to get into this. And this is at the birth of YouTube. And YouTube at this time was just cat videos and guys in skateboards falling on their balls, right? So by starting to make content and videos on there and make like short films, I was building an audience. I went to a point I had millions of viewers, but the problem was that my wife made me shut the channel down because she was trying to get a job with the government and she was afraid the channel would affect her chances, which was total bullshit. But whatever, I lost and I had to restart my channel. I'm starting all over from scratch again on YouTube. If you're listening to this on YouTube, thank you. So anyway, I wanted to make film. I wanted to get into the film business. I wanted to move to LA. And I had a friend who was at an art institute. And he, I was having dinner with my wife. He was having dinner with some friends. They just got done with a film shoot. And I was like, really? You guys are from LA and you're shooting films and shit? And he says, oh yeah, and we have the equipment out in the car. And I was like, oh, dude, let me see it. So they showed me all the equipment they have, and I'm like, holy fuck, I would shoot someone in the face, right, to get my hands on this. So I enrolled in the school, or I applied to the school, and they accepted me. I packed all my shit. Me and my wife, we moved to LA. Everything was super crazy fucking expensive, but I didn't care because they had sold me this whole fucking bill of goods. They saw that my wife was in a wheelchair, and they're like, oh yeah, if you come to our school, you'll be able to take care of her and pay for everything and all this stuff and yada yada. We got this great job placement program. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. They dangled a big fucking carrot in front of me, and it was a fake carrot at that. So I bought in hook, line, and sinker. We went down there, and I started making short films and started getting into the film business. The most I got professionally was like working as like a PA and a grip on a couple sets. And sometimes it was like dumb shit, just like watch the table, make sure the homeless people don't get the crafts table or some shit, But I was getting into it and I was making short films and I was all into it, but it was just absolute nuts. But here's the thing I need to talk about, and that is the Art Institute. So the first red flag was that this school was in an office building. Literally, it was a fucking office building. Classrooms and everything. It felt really kind of like, what the fuck? Because like I said, I had been to a community college, so I had a certain level of expectation and a certain level of experience that the other students did not have. And sure enough, some of the classes were complete bullshit. And I felt like I was like in middle school, you know? It was like some of these classes seemed a little too easy. It was really, really fucking dumb. And so I kind of started asking questions, and they were like, well, we focus more on the technical aspect of things. We're more like a technical college. You got to think of us as like a Cal Arts. Yeah, they're really Cal Arts. Mm-hmm. But I was buying it hook, line, and sinker because, and this is something I'll talk about later, it's about getting fooled, about getting conned, getting bamboozled. A lot of people don't like to admit it. I'll talk about it later as far as my understanding on it. But so when I talk about getting conned, it happened to me, okay? I basically bought into this lie, and I was kind of seeing the red flags. Like I said, it wasn't that hard. There were things that were kind of like, what the fuck is kind of going on? And, you know, the other students, you know, most of them had only been to like crappier colleges like ITT Tech and shit. So they're like, oh yeah, this is a legit school. They're totally legit. And they're getting federal funding, so you think someone's doing their due diligence, so everything should be fine. Right? As we've learned, our government isn't the greatest about due diligence. Now, so I kind of ignored these red flags that I was seeing because I was like, look, just get the degree, get out there and start making film. Then the crash happened in 2008. I had family that needed help, so I relocated halfway across the country. And there was another art institute that I transferred to, but now instead of graduating, they gave me all these their classes I had to do and all this other shit. And I was like, really? I have to do this? They're like, yeah, the curriculum is the same, but slightly different. So I bought into the bullshit, got in for more classes and stuff. Like one of the red flags here, I thought, was that they went by quarter instead of semester. They operated like a business. It was quarter. So instead of getting, 5 months in a class, you have to do a class in about 3 months. And they constantly kept pushing us to take more classes. I'm like, look, I have a full schedule. I have 4 classes. I can't take any more. But they would push us to try to do 6. Yeah. Once again, for-profit college. Okay. So I'm working on it, and I'm trying to get this degree. And while I'm doing this in another state now, my old college closes, and the other ones around them in their area start to close too. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I take a look in, and I find out that the school is being sued by the Department of Justice for fraud in around the amount of $11 billion. It's like, what? Usually you don't hear that happening to your school, okay, let alone a college. It's like, what the fuck is going on? So I did some digging, and I found out that the whole school was like, at first, the Art Institute was a legitimate school. It was a legitimate art school. But a company came in called the Education Management Corporation, or the EDMC. They came in, bought it. They're a for-profit company, and they realized that, the laws written around student loans make it to where you can't discharge them in bankruptcy, so you're stuck with them for life. So this is the perfect way to get people in debt and get money out of them and then make money, right? So EDMC comes in, turns it all into a for-profit. They try to open as many campuses as they can, and they try to push as much classes and many students and da-da-da. And sure enough, what they end up doing is kind of flooding the market. Like, for instance, let's say you were a photography student, okay? So you look at the listings for photography jobs, and there's 100 jobs, but there's 200 students in the graduating class. So what the fuck is going to happen to those other 100 students? And they started posting things as jobs when they weren't. Like, someone graduated with a degree in fashion design, and they were a clerk at a fucking Gap. And they counted that as a job in the industry, quote unquote. More and more stuff kept coming to light. And I started bringing it to the attention of my fellow students, and they didn't even want to hear it. they literally put on the blinders and were like, oh, that's an old story, or, oh, that's fake news, or what the fuck ever. And I'm like, dude, this is from a government website. Like, this place is bullshit. I mean, didn't you guys think that some of this stuff was just a little bit fucking sus, you know? So some of the students, like, I had talked to some graduates and they were like, oh yeah, you can't say you're from the Art Institute. They have literally produced a ton of shit graduates. It's a fucking diploma mill. You come in, you pay the money. As long as you show up to class, hey, you're getting a fucking A, and then there you go. Here's your degree, and then they send you out in the world, and you're not even nowhere near prepared. They have graphic design students who graduated, and they can't even fucking draw. Oh, Lord. So I start getting scared, and I'm thinking, look, I've gotten this far. It's been fucking years, because I've had to go part-time. Let me just get the bachelor's and get the fuck out. Because my plan was for $60,000, which is what federal covers. And I'm like, I should be able to get out and I'll be fine. As I'm getting near graduation, I get what's called the walk of death. I get called in to the financial aid office and they tell me I have run out of loan money. And I said, what are you talking about? The plan was for $60,000. I've been on this schedule with it. I should be getting, we should be fine. He said, no, what's happened is that I don't have $60,000 in debt. I have $100,000. I have 60 in federal loans, and then I had 20 in private that have now ballooned to 40. So I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, so these fuckers took out loans in my name without my knowledge. And so immediately I'm like, okay, this is some bullshit. But they still like take my picture and put me on their graduation wall and all this shit. But I'm like, I haven't found a job. Any job listings they give me were bullshit. I mean, I wasn't qualified for any of them. I mean, the guy, the career counselor, quote unquote, was just throwing jobs at me. It was like, what about this job? You could do this job. Look at this job. Apply for this job. And I'm just like, dude, I'm not qualified for over half of these. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, do you not know what they teach? It's like, what the fuck? So I tried talking to my old school, but once again, they're gone. They don't exist anymore. And then I have this whole fallout with them to where I can't go any further. And I'm like, look, I should have gotten my degree from my last school, but you guys made me take all these fucking classes and shit and claiming that it was necessary, but it's not necessary. So I start fighting them. They give me like $3,000, which is all the money I gave them while I was making payments while I was there. But apparently the payments weren't going to my loans. They were going to the fucking Art Institute. So they just collected the money. So they just gave me my $3,000 back as like a refund. Didn't help me out with the loans at all. And then I never got the fucking degree. I went through all this shit and all this fucking hell. And they directed me to this one website where I was supposed to get it, but I never fucking got it. It got to the point that I just bought my own fucking degree. I was like, because think about it. The school's bullshit. It's all closed. Sure, I can print my own fucking degree. Hell, shit, I can claim I have a master's because there's no way to verify it. Not to mention, who the fuck wants to admit they went to the Art Institute? So the point I'm trying to make here, folks, is I got bamboozled. I got fucking conned. I got fucking taken for a ride. And after all that time and all that work, it's like, and I don't even work in fucking film. I don't work in any form of video production because there was no fucking money in it. Not unless you can get some set job where you're working at like an auction house or some other shit. A lot of the cameraman jobs were already taken. The freelance jobs were taken. And because the school had pushed out so many graduates, it was like, good luck getting a decent paying job. Honestly, it was like, I could have gone into like, being a videographer for fucking, court reporting. And I could have done that with my wife, who was a court reporter. I could have done that with her company because they provide the equipment. I could have done that from the fucking beginning and never even had to go to school. The thing is, I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to make movies, and they dangled that in front of me, and I chased after it. Like a fucking idiot. But this is where me and other people differ. Because I have other people, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I went to a good art school. I got a good education. but they're working a job that's not necessarily what they were supposed to get, and they're still struggling. And they're struggling to pay off the loans. Now, I was able to get the federal loans discharged. So that's $60,000 discharged, gone. But the $40,000 on the private, I'm like, I don't recognize that as my debt, and I have been fighting with them for years. I'm talking like a decade. I've been fighting with them. They haven't gotten any money out of me. They've threatened me with lawsuits and shit, but they've never done it. And now if they do take me to court, the judge will, my state has, because it's a private debt, it's the same as credit cards. A judge will look at it and say, well, you had 4-year statute of limitations. It's been over 10 years since you got a payment from him. And I have emails saying and showing, I have printouts that show that I got from them that says they haven't received a payment since like 2012. So if they expect me to repay this, then they have to do it on my terms. And if I decide to give them nothing, then I give them nothing. Not to mention, it's probably going to cost more for a fucking attorney than what they're going to get out of me. So I don't pay it. They can call me. They can send me a fucking letter. I don't fucking pay it. And then in a certain amount of time, I can push it off my credit, and there it goes. And sad to say, that's what I know a lot of former AI students are doing. They're like, I can't pay this fucking shit. I still work at a grocery store. Your education, your quote-unquote fucking, education and diploma didn't do shit. My degree didn't do shit. And so that's what I'm saying. It's tough to admit. There's this quote by Carl Sagan, the scientist, who said that when people have been bamboozled, they would rather try to find evidence that the bamboozle was true than just to admit they got bamboozled. And that's me. That's me all the fucking way, dude. I'm sorry. That's the difference on me, is that I'll admit I got bamboozled. I know there are people that won't. I have family members that swore up and down that Obama was going to take my guns, and I got told for 8 fucking years that Obama was going to take my guns, and Obama never took my guns. And no matter how much evidence and proof I tried to show him that that was an impossibility, he refused to believe it. He refused to admit the fact that he had been bamboozled. But me, I can admit it, and I'm admitting it here now. I went to a for-profit college. I got bullshit now. I'm in my fucking 40s. I can't go back to fucking school and get the fucking degree. That's not going to happen. I already went back to school in my 30s and got a certificate in mobile application development to show that I learned coding. But that was for a job that now no longer exists. So now I'm having to change things. Because for people like me, like I have epilepsy, man. I have seizures. It's hard for me to get a job. Now, if I lie, I'll get the job. But then if I have a seizure at work, they do what's I call the phase out, which is they cut my hours, they give me the worst shifts, they give me more work, they give it to where the job is not really worth it, to the point that I'm going to be like quitting. That I would have to quit, or I'd have to go find another job in order to make ends meet. And so now what I'm trying to do is thanks to the internet and how working from home has been, I'm like, hey, I can make my own job. I can make my own content and make my own stuff and work freelance and make my own hours and everything. Right now, my main form of income has been investments. And I've made more money on that than I've ever made on making movies and putting them on the fucking internet. So, but I am going to try to get back into filmmaking next year and make the videos and put stuff out. I have a bunch of short films I'm going to put back out on the internet, along with a few other things. I have one short film I never finished, and I do want to go back and finish it. The only problem is I'm going to have to get a female actress, because it's about a guy going to a prostitute for his first time, but it's real dark and scary. And the gal we had playing the prostitute, she had a very high chipmunk voice, so I'm going to have to probably re-record her lines with somebody else, and I'll let her know about it. But I wanted to talk to this with you guys because it may happen to you. At some point, you may get conned. At some point, someone may lie to you and get one over on you. It happens, man. It happened to me, and it can happen to you, and I hope it doesn't, but it can. And so don't be afraid to admit that, yeah, I got conned. I got fucked over. I got cheated. It happens. The point is that we take that information, we take that experience, and we make sure it doesn't happen again. And I know that's what I have to do. I have to remind myself that, hey, this happened, but you're not going to, and it's going to help me with my kids to make sure that they're going, if they want to go to school, that they're going to the right place and all of that. So I'm making sure that everything's covered and everyone's okay. Because that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that your kids don't make the same mistakes that you make, because what fucking fun is that, right? I know, like, my generation, our parents were like, they didn't tell us everything, and so they were just waiting for us to fuck up, They'd be like, told you. So you didn't tell me about this, motherfucker. You didn't tell me how to balance shit. The hell, asshole. It's like, you taught me how to change a tire, but you did not teach me how to balance a checkbook. Ugh. All right, so if you have been bamboozled, if you have been conned, listen, it happens to everybody, and it's okay. The point is that you accept that it's happened, admit that it's happened, and move on and try to do better. So, you know what? Why don't we take 5 minutes? We're going to take 5 minutes just to relax, to chill, to take it easy, and to think about this for a minute, to think about that we're not, we're going to release ourselves. We're going to forgive ourselves for being taken in, for being foolish. We're going to let it go and use it as a learning experience to move forward, to be better, to be smarter, and create a better future. Because that's all we got. So let's go ahead and we're going to start that 5 minutes. Let me see here. Got the clock. Okay. So we're going to start 5 minutes right now. All right. Welcome back. Hope it helped. Hope it take some time to relax, take it easy. And like I said, man, forgive yourself and allow yourself to move forward, because that's all we can do. This world can be crazy, it can be sneaky, and we got to be on guard every day. There's viruses and malware and Trojan horses and all kinds of things. Hackers and identity thieves, and you got to really do what you can to kind of stay up on it, man. It's not easy, it's not fun, but it's what you got to do to keep yourself safe and everybody else safe. Because at the end of the day, what you do can reflect upon others, especially those that love you and care about you. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, chatting with me here. I'm going to go ahead and just keep it short today. I think it's better for all of us. And I need to sleep, because I just don't. I'm still not sleeping. I'm trying. God, I am trying, but it is, oh Lord, it's just tough. So anyway, I hope you hear you next time, and I hope that you don't get bamboozled, man. And while you're going through this crazy thing called life, I hope you remember to take it easy. Because when you take it easy, the dude abides. Thanks. See you next time.